Once again, I just want to thank the legislative members that are here today. Thank them for everything they did. Today, what they've been doing over the course of the last few weeks, I just had the privilege of being on a call with about 15,000 folks all across this state and many from across the country. Had the privilege of having a brief dialogue with Gene Wu, who reached out to me a number of weeks ago, expressing concern about what was happening in his state. Representative Wu of Texas said it would be nice if California could have our back, if you could just say a few good words that we're watching what's happening in Texas. Little did we expect that his governor, Greg Abbott, would so quickly move in the direction of doing the bidding of Donald Trump. In fact, Greg Abbott himself expressed doubt that it was the right thing to do. All the reporting that came out after that first phone call of Trump, he wisely and appropriately expressed doubt. But no sooner did he do that, he started to reconcile that he had to do the bidding, as did those in the Texas legislature of Donald Trump. In fact, Trump went so far to say he's quote unquote entitled to 5 seats in Texas. I imagine he's making similar calls all across this country. We know he called the vice president and sent him not to memorials of those that lost their lives in the floods in Texas, but sent him to Indiana, now running around the streets with the Secretary of Defense and Stephen Miller and militarizing the streets of another great American city, Washington, D.C. So we're here in a moment with deep sobriety, recognizing that we need to reconcile this moment, but we're going to meet the moment not just with rhetoric, but through action. We're not just identifying a problem, we're actually trying to solve a problem. And it's a problem of their making. This was not a press conference we intended to have. This is not an action the legislature intended to advance. This is not an election we expected to be holding on November 4th. But they shot the first bullet. They took an action in Texas, and we're responding to it. And I continue to make this point. We're no longer hand-wringing in debating of whether or not we should play hardball in response. It's how now. You just saw a few hours ago, and this should put a chill to all of you that count on this research, National Institute of Health, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of grants that legally were appropriated by Congress, that lower courts, federal courts said you have no right, Mr. President, to reject and deny. The Supreme Court on a 5-4 decision, 5-4 decision, said no, Donald Trump has the right to do whatever the hell he wants. That same 5-4, you could have had a 5-4 decision had it not been for the Greg Abbott of his time, Mitch McConnell. They played hardball. We try to hold hands, talk about the way the world should be. It's just wrong what you did to Merrick Garland. Boy, that's just not fair. Boy, they don't play fair. Just too bad. We had academic exercise and we all talked about the way the world should be. We have watched these guys over and over, the ruthlessness to which they advance their power. And that's all this is about. It's a power grab. They're rigging the election. It's unprecedented, midterm, to call up 5 seats to do what they did. And so the consequence of that is we can't just think differently, we have to act differently, and that's exactly what the legislature just did. So November 4th, a special election. And here's what's special about this election. It's the first time in U.S. history that the voters will decide for themselves. The voters will decide for themselves. Never happened in U.S. history. Spare me any moral or false equivalency of what they're doing in Texas. Do just a brief level of sort of analysis. That was written, who knows, those maps in Mar-a-Lago. These maps were submitted, yes, by the DCC, amended by the legislature, and now are on the ballot in every ballot box in this state. And as long as we have mail-in ballots, which Donald Trump now has threatened, where 80% of the last election, those votes were cast, they'll be in people's mailbox as well. And they can send back in just a matter of weeks, 75 days, to make real what we are promoting. And so I'll close on that. I'm very mindful that we just entered a new phase. I'm very mindful of the hard work ahead. Here's the good news. We have been in parallel working to organize an unprecedented effort, an unprecedented campaign. I am deeply mindful of how statewide elections work. I have a lot of experience in statewide elections. I'm not naive at all about how much you have to raise, how much you have to organize, bottom up, not just top down. But I think it says everything you need to know that President Barack Obama came out and supported this. I don't know what more evidence you need when different parts of our party, people that have different points of view, many parts, one body, the Democratic Party, Bernie Sanders and others, people are coming out and they recognize what's at stake. And so we're putting a stake in the ground and we're asking the people of the state of California to support Proposition 50. We're asking the people of California who have the power to stand up and restore the rule of law, restore a system of checks and balances, to stand up for the vulnerable, and those that are intimidated. They have the power to stand up, yes, to Donald Trump, and they have the power to stand up for the Constitution and the enduring principles and values of our founding fathers. That's what this campaign is about. It's temporary. We maintain the independent redistricting commission. It is transparent. The maps will be in people's ballot box in just weeks, and it is democratic. It'll be the first time any state has submitted redistricting maps to the people. November 4th, coinciding with many, many other existing local elections, and this will be an effort unlike any we've seen, an effort to protect our democracy, and I believe will be overwhelmingly supported not just by Democrats and independents, but by Republicans who understand the rule of law is a hell of a lot more important than the rule of Don. With that, we're happy to answer any questions.
Governor, over and over again over the last several weeks, you said that voters would be presented with trigger language based on what Texas or other states do. Texas is halfway through its legislative process on these maps, but you've decided apparently to go forward with this anyway and have voters allow these maps to go into effect anyway, regardless of what happens in other states. I mean, even if the courts strike down what happens in Texas. So, I mean, just clarifying, these new maps take effect no matter what.
We're moving forward. Texas moved forward. Texas acted. Texas is moving forward. You're suggesting, people are suggesting Texas is not going to move forward because of what we just did? Come on.
Governor, the signage is behind you. Yes on 50. You said that it's because of the 50 states. Do you plan on campaigning for the state measure inside and outside?
No, we think people all across the country are going to campaign here in California for this. They recognize what's at stake. It's not just about the state of California. It's about the United States of America. It's about rigging the election. This is about completely gutting the rules. They can't play. They cannot win. Donald Trump cannot win by playing by the rules.
Governor,
He has to completely throw out the rule book. He has to rig the election. And that's a national call. What happened, the folks in Texas made this crystal clear when they visited, not just here, but all across the country. It's not about Texas. It was never about Texas. It's about the United States of America. It's about all of us. It's about the midterms. It's about a branch of government that has completely abdicated any responsibility role. I mean, where the hell is Speaker Johnson? What, I mean, seriously, no oversight. He's trying to crush the courts, and he's trying to eliminate any oversight whatsoever. He's got masked men showing up at events. One of the largest private armies in the world that took an oath, increasingly it appears, take an oath to Donald Trump, not to the Constitution, with Border Patrol showing up and intimidation tactics. They will show up, watch this space, at voting booths and polling places across this country. He has federalized the National Guard, not just in LA where they're still doing nothing. Talk about waste and abuse of authority and power. And they're there federalized what? Through Election Day. You think they're not going to be sent out in other American cities in and around Election Day? And now he's trying to get rid of mail-in balloting. What more evidence do you need? He'll get rid of your job if you say something wrong. How could I possibly say that? Ask ABC, ask CBS, ask the Paramount deal. He doesn't like what you're thinking or saying because you have an independent thought. He'll try to gut the programming dollars, not just as it relates to PBS or some other network or program, but he's going after institutions of higher learning. Ask the folks at UCLA, $1 billion extortion. Look what he's doing, the Smithsonian. He's quite literally rewriting history. In the United States of America today, he's rewriting history. Where the hell are you all? Why aren't we outraged about that? Censoring historical facts. It's happening right now in the United States. Wake up. So yes, I think everybody all across this country, all 50 states, are going to come out and support Proposition 50.
Governor, you're emphasizing that this is going to a vote now, but a recent Politico report and poll shows that just 36% of California
What was the question?
approve of lawmakers doing the redistricting.
Yeah, as we do. We're affirming the redistricting in this initiative. We're actually affirming it.
Persuade voters that the lawmakers should be doing redistricting.
Well, the good news is you're going to be updating that question with the actual polls that poll the actual ballot initiative. And there's overwhelming support for the initiative.
Governor, what is the plan if voters reject this?
Well, what I'm worried, and forgive me, what is the plan of voters? Look, we the people, we're going to do everything in our power to win this thing, and we're giving the people. We trust the people of the state. We trust the people. They obviously scared to death of them, and in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. That's why he's rigging the system. They're scared to death of the people in Texas. That's why Greg Abbott would never submit this to the voters. We're going to do our best to make the case temporary, transparent, democratic case in response to what has just occurred and what likely will occur in other states over the course of the next few weeks. And failure is not an option.
But whether how about the trigger?
I'm sorry.
Who drew the line? You said we, so.
Well, the DCC, they submitted it to a portal. There were hundreds and hundreds of others that submitted ideas. The legislature made some adjustments, and then those maps are now appearing in your ballot box, and you can adjudicate whether or not you like those maps and whether or not you like this approach. What's that?
Those names coming out, I mean, you saying we, who was on it?
Well, no, it went through a portal and a process, went through the legislative process, and that's a process completely independent of the governor. And what just went on the ballot was the maps that came through the legislature and went through that process. Very well-established process as it relates to maps that are very familiar in the state through the Independent Redistricting Commission. There's been thousands of hours of public comment, and so a very familiar set of maps that will be on the ballot. And again, that's about as transparent as any redistricting effort in U.S. history, period, full stop. Never have maps been submitted to the voters.
Governor, to follow up on the trigger question, this is all hypothetical, of course, but what if the courts do strike down Texas maps? There's already allegations that they're violating the Voting Rights Act, engaging in racial gerrymandering. If our voters approve of these maps and then Texas is struck down, do our maps still?
Well, I know. I mean, is that process going to happen in November of next year? Maybe January 2027?
It's hypothetical.
Maybe they'll appeal it. Maybe they'll delay it. Maybe we'll go to the Supreme Court. Come on. We're not going to be played as fools. Texas is moving forward. We know what they're trying to do in Indiana. You've got the governor. I forgot he's still there, DeSantis, in Florida. He now trying to get in. Missouri. I mean, come on. Come on.
Well, Governor, have you called on other Democratic governors to follow your lead and do the same thing?
I think,
The other states, other red states jump in. I mean, isn't it a wash?
well, I guess we can just roll over and do nothing. We can just, they did 5. Well, we'll do nothing because, we don't want India. I mean, come on.
But are you
Well,
encouraging
hold on.
other blue state governors to do the same?
I'll answer her question. We are responding to what happened in Texas pretty clearly. That's the first thing I said. Gene, first conversation, reacting to. We're a state that can neutralize. We're a state that can literally punch back and negate any unfair advantage that they're trying to rig. As it relates to other states, I really appreciate the work that J.B. Pritzker has done to elevate this issue. I appreciate what Kathy Hochul has done to elevate this issue. I've had conversations with other governors that are very interested in what's going on, and they will make a determination with their legislature to decide for themselves if they want to move in this direction. I do believe in the power of emulation, and I do believe that the actions of this legislature will inspire other legislative leaders to pursue, pass, to meet this moment, to save this democracy, and to stop this, this authoritarian and his continued actions to literally vandalize and gut our Constitution and our democratic principles and rule of law.
Governor, on transparency, I mean, the legislative leaders.
We had one other, forgive me.
Sorry. You've become very, you sort of have come to define this effort to the point where people are referring to this as the Gavin Mander. Are you concerned about this campaign becoming a referendum on you and your own?
I'm concerned about what Donald Trump is doing, and to the extent that we can provide a pathway to get support for this initiative, I'm going to continue to do everything in my power to help support this effort. This is not something 6 weeks ago that I ever imagined we would be doing. This is being done in response from Texas. This was not an organized effort. This was a reaction to an assault on our democracy in Texas, and we're going to continue to support those that are of like mind to get the vote out and to get the word about what this is all about.
If you're willing to take a question on a different topic, Eric Menendez is before the.
Okay, I appreciate that. One moment. Anyone else? Yeah, and I shouldn't even smile. I mean, it's yeah. I'm happy to answer that, though. I'll answer.
I mean, who are responsible for these maps? It's ultimately Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas and Senate Pro Tem Mike McGuire. They are not here to answer our questions about.
You should talk to
I
them.
know. I'd love to. This is the second time they haven't shown up when a ballot measure is placed on the ballot by the legislature to answer questions from reporters. My question is, if those two end up running for Congress after this, or they're
Ashley, I don't.
How could that?
Ashley, you're tight. I don't even.
How could that impact this campaign?
I don't.
I mean, considering voters did not want politicians drawing lines for themselves.
You'll have to ask them. You have to ask them.
What's
For
your,
lawmakers up here, are you committing to giving power back to the Redistricting Commission come the next decade, even if it means kicking the Democrats out of their seats in Congress?
This is a temporary effort. Period. Full stop. We're cut. Picture is in the same place.
Alright,
What's your
last
message
question.
to Republican voters in California who are going to be about 10% of the congressional delegation when they're about 30% of voters or more? What's your message to them being, disenfranchised?
And then they should speak up against their president and these authoritarian tendencies. They should be outraged by what Donald Trump has just done. Cause and effect, outraged by what's just happened with Greg Abbott and the Republicans in Texas.
Governor, what can we expect from your campaign these next few months? It's going to be quick.
Well, it's our campaign. It's a collective effort, and it's just hundreds of thousands of people have already contributed to this cause. It's extraordinary. I've never seen it. Honestly, I've been doing this a long time. Nothing I've ever experienced like this. People understand this is a 5-alarm fire. People understand what's at stake in this country, and people are showing up. I told you I had 15,000 people on a quick Zoom just a moment ago. It's just so it's a remarkable moment, and people are really energized to be for something, to stand firm, to advance something, to organize around something at a time when so many people feel powerless and scared. I can't even imagine. People say, well, you overstate the authority, this notion of authoritarian. Really? Maybe in my privileged position, that may be the case. But if you're a member of the Latino community in Bell, California, I don't think it, I know it. I've been meeting with folks down there, scared to death to go to school, to go to a family member's funeral, walk their dog, go to the grocery store. That's happening here in America right now. It's sick. So this is an opportunity to be for something and stand for something and advance something. On Eric Menendez, was there a decision of the parole board? Okay, so I don't know. Yeah, you would have caught me without knowing that. So my understanding is he's in front of the parole board today, and his brother is in front of the parole board tomorrow. The parole board goes through an independent process, well established. As you know well, I look at anywhere from 20 to 45 cases every single week. This will be one of many cases if they move forward and recommend their parole. If they reject it, It's an academic exercise, and then they will determine whether or not they go back in front of the parole board in 1 year, 2 or 3 years. That's their determination. I will make my determination based on the facts, well established. And as you know well, we don't accept every recommendation of the parole board. We look at each case, we'll send them back en banc, which means we'll send it back to a larger cohort of the parole board to take a second look if we have questions, or we'll simply reject on the basis of the facts. One thing I haven't done, and I think this is important, is I have not watched any documentary. I have not watched anything that has come out on the Menendez brothers, and I very intentionally avoided that in expectation and anticipation that this might land on my desk. So the facts themselves will speak for themselves, not my opinion, not what's on TikTok or what's on YouTube, or not what you or others may be saying about these two individuals. I'll look at them on that basis of the facts and the presentation and the reports provided by the parole board if this lands on my desk. Thank you guys very much.
Factors